Hey y'all, it's Wash Really Ned, and I wanted to try my hand at reviewing. Now, usually I only watch reviews on reality shows, and I always, when I see people reviewing, I've never actually watched a review of a scripted show until maybe like a day ago or so. But because I'm like, why would you review a scripted show? Because I always feel like you review to give your opinion, basically being messy on people's lives. So I was like, all right, I'm kind of messy. But anyway, I'm just trying my hand at reviewing, and I wanted to review Sisters. Now I know it's episode two, um, but I'm gonna start from here because that's where I'm gonna start from because I can. All right. So, and also, well, Papato go come out, right? Um, that's how I'm decided. I decided to do the review. In a I won't say straight patois, but well, Papato. All right. So the episode starts off with Gary and Andy. Gary is alive. Of course, Gary is alive. We know Gary ain't dead. We know he wasn't written off the show. And the whole time last week, when she was like, "Tell me about Gary. Tell me about Gary. Oh, you keep telling me about Gary." Like, okay, duh. If he was dead, he wasn't dead. We know he wasn't dead. And the fact that the paramedics didn't take him out immediately to go to the hospital, you know, it could have either been two things: either he was dead, or he was alive and well, and it was rubber bullets. And we know he wasn't dead, so it had to be option two. So anyway, the episode starts off. She'll see Gary alive, and he's like, "Oh, I put rubber bullets in the gun because I didn't know say she not stable, she not stable. So I put rubber bullets in the gun, and she never knows say rubber bullets. So let me ask you this, Gary: if you get licked by rubber bullets and you drop a ground alive, conscious, and you just did it and I watch the woman, I terrorize the woman where you say you love her, you want to spend the rest of your life with. How that work? How that work, Gary? How is it you're gonna sit there, lie there? Was you unconscious? You didn't say he was unconscious. Was you unconscious? You must have been unconscious. Anyways, poor Andy was just like, I'm so glad you're okay. And then Gary was like, well, I gotta go see my son. I gotta pick him up. Now, I'm not sure, but from remember, no more than one penny than it have. Maybe they decide to just make it one now. They just kind of writing it differently. But I kind of thought they had more than one child. Like he had kids. But anyway, I'm glad they're actually mentioning the kids now because it's kind of unrealistic for you to be in a relationship with somebody and there's like no mention of your children. Especially when it's not like you have baby mamas, you have a wife. You know. So he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my son," and she was like, "Well, I want to come with you because I want to meet him." It's like, no, I'm not introducing you to my son. Okay, so he doesn't want to introduce her to the son because I said, "Oh, he given the excuse that his son is autistic and it's not the right time." So like, I wanna go the right time. When is the right time, Gary? Because if you're going to get married to this, I agree tonight's not the right night, right? But when is the right time? Oh, this thing is shaking. I'm sorry, I'm moving about a lot. When is the right time? You say you go married to the woman, you um en- engaged her, you ask her to marry you, and you're gonna marry this lady, and you're gonna spend the rest of your life with her because she's the love of your life, and she don't meet the pitney. How that work? Anyway, he leaves and without her, and now it's morning. Oh, Then of course, like after that, they show the sorry that I'm shaking. They show the what do you call it thing when it starts off the beginning credits, right? And yes, Fatima is on front. She's got her peach. Fatima got front bill. She is in the credits, right? She is like main character now. She's not just a series regular. She's like main character. She's a sister with the other four sisters. So it's now it's five sisters. Okay, I'm like so happy for Tima, but they barely showed her in the episode. They didn't show her until like the end. But we love Fatima. Fatima is like, you know, I did a little bit of background check on Fatima. Crystal Renee. What's her name? Crystal Renee Hazlett. And this is kind of really like her first acting thing because she started off in politics, she said, and then that was just short lived. And then she moved to Atlanta to like pursue a career in singing and acting, or she said music and acting. I just assume it's singing. She said the music thing no work out, and then her stylist was complimenting her about her style. And encourage her to seek a job in that. So she get a job at Tyler Perry Studios, and that was like 2012. So like for 7 years, well, no, for the first 2 years, she was like doing assisting and stuff like that until she got promoted to be a stylist. And then after a while, I guess she got promoted to being Tyler Perry's personal stylist. And then so she was his stylist for years, and during that time she was like auditioning at the studios for different roles, and she got no's, but he didn't know that she was auditioning. She never told him. Because you don't audition right away with Tyler Perry. You got to go through some people before you get to Tyler Perry, right? So she got a lot of no, she got a lot of no's. Continued to work on the show, well, as his stylist, and then after being his stylist, she was doing some producing and consulting when Sister started. She said when Sister started, she was producing and consulting, and then I guess she finally said to Tyler, um, I'd like to audition for you. So he created a role for her, and she based the character, she said, mostly off of her own self, and it was a small thing, of course, like we saw in the beginning. She was just Andy's assistant. She was just saying, somebody's here to see you, this person's here to see you. It was just a short thing. And then she said she just got there, she just did her thing, and now she's on the front page. Do you think, Crystal? I love her. Everybody loves Fatima. Anyway, back to the show, to the review, right? So next morning now, and hey, sometimes they can do some like unrealistic things, but we don't say a show, a kind of like a soap opera, so of course there's unrealistic things. But Andy get up and Andy go get her hair done and come back home, and it's still not time for her to be at work. Like seriously, which life? And she not work by shift. She's not working a shift job. She's working a 9 to 5. Okay, so I mean, she get her hair done, then the dreadlocks sitting there done in like a couple hours. Anyway, all right. So what were they? Oh, the preacher. So the preacher man, which I can't stand his character. I mean, all right, people, don't get offended when I say I don't like people. These are all characters. It's not the actual persons themselves. We're talking about the characters, okay? So, when I like Preacher Boy, so I guess he's sobered up a little bit, and he's all feeling all sorry for himself again. And Karen comes out. I like her dress. Karen comes out looking all like, and they're talking, and it's boring, and I don't like them. And basically he's just like saying, you know He's just reiterating what happened. And he's like, um, I know I he's like what? What did he say? I know he what did he say? Oh, he's so in your head. Yeah, that's what he said to her. He's talking about Zach. He's like saying, Zach, he's so in your head. And she's like, no, he's in my heart. And I'm like, oh, Karen, please. You never in your heart all the time. Well, girl, I know she love him. I know that she love him, right? But it's like, you guys don't work. So, you need to let it go. You need to let go because we all love Fatima. We want him to be with Fatima. So you gotta let him go, Karen. Like, he's in my heart. He wasn't in your heart last week. Well, not last week. A month ago. A month ago, he was the person who stole your credit card, as far as you was concerned, which was like so crap because she should never, ever, ever have even believed that he would steal her credit card. That was like stupid. So a minute ago you was believing he stole your credit card and he's the worst person ever, and now he's in my heart. Anyway, all right. So now we're at my other favorites, which is Danny. We all love Danny. So Danny and Cowboy. Cowboy is like trying to wake Danny up. She's finally up, and he's like, "You're so beautiful in the morning." Who gonna tell me I look beautiful in the morning? Anyways, um, so they're in the house, and he's like, "Okay, I gotta go. Are you gonna? What time? You coming straight home?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm coming straight home." Why? Like, I just want to know. I was like, anyway, I'm gonna go see my mother. She's like, you better not bring your mother home. He's like, I know, I've learned my lesson. But of course we know they're going to meet the mother at some time, at some point. Then there's knock at the door, right? Danny freaks out, thinking it's somebody's landlord coming for rent. Uh, Person's like, I paid the rent. Can you relax? Anyway, as Sabrina there at the door. Sabrina. Anyway, Sabrina's like, I need advice. More some advice, and I'm becoming an orphan. More some advice. And of course, Danny's not having it. Danny's just like, girl, this is not like, this is not the end of the world. This is not as big as what you're making it out to be. Like, just go to work and ignore the guy. Like, hello, go to work, ignore him. So she gets all frustrated and leaves, of course, but whatever. It's like, anyway, so yeah, Gary comes back now. And he shows up the next morning at Andy's house. And like I said, Andy's all dolled up. And this, I don't know what time of morning it's supposed to be, but anyway, we already talked about that part. So Gary's like, and he brings a friend. And Andy's outfit, I always like what Andy's wearing, but I don't like this one. It needed to be a different color blouse. The suit and the same color, I don't like it. Anyway, we're not talking about fashion, and I am no fashionista. Okay, I just know what I like. But anyway, so Andy, Gary show up with a friend and talk about, it's obviously some trick. Well, some surprise that he's planning. I don't know what it is, but him like, okay, they're trying to convince Andy that he is a photographer. Well, I'm sure he's a photographer, but that his model cancel on him, and there's no other models at all in Atlanta. So Andy needs to do the shoot for him. But of course, we know it's a setup because, Gary's planning some kind of a surprise. I hope it's a good surprise. And I hope they're not trying to get us to like Gary because, anyway, so yeah, Andy's going to do a photo shoot afterward. Right, so that was that. Then no, and she asked again about the son, and he like makes excuses, of course, but um, whatever. We'll see what happens with that. Then no, all right. Some guy shows up at the bank with a check um with a check that's supposed to be from Calvin, and Maurice, of course, recognizes Calvin's name and um, where'd you get this check? He's like, um, how do you know Calvin? He's my boss. So of course, we know he's lying. So Maurice, says, I'm gonna call the police. Oh my god, this is another point that's like so stupid because like we don't know what kind of bank this, we we don't know what kind of bank this, but this a bank gonna have no security whatsoever. Which bank that? Right? The bank that have no security. Because um to keep the man in there, Maurice goes say, all right, we lock the door. No security is there to call. So the guy's like convincing him, oh, I have kids to feed. Don't call the police. Don't call the police. He's using his cell phone to call the police. There's no button to press. There's no security to call. I mean, we don't know what kind of bank this is. Then, of course, Jacoby walks in. So when Jacoby walks in, the guy zoops out the door. So it's like, and then Maurice is like, you're making me about the man gun, about the man gun. Jacoby's like, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway, Jacoby is most of these people I don't like. We don't like the character of Jacoby, and he's where am I at? I think I lost my page. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So then Maurice calls Maurice calls Jacoby Chapato one time. I almost fell off the couch. Anyway, so Danny and Zach's at work, right? So so of course Danny starts, questioning Zach about, Fatima and his feelings for Karen. And Zach's like, well, um, oh yeah. So I have to write down stuff because I can't remember. I don't know how these people do this thing without writing down stuff. All right, so yeah, he asked so Danny wants to know about Fatima and Zach. So Zach's like, or how he feels about Karen, and he's like, you know, um, she says, do you love Fatima? It's like, no, I don't love her. We just started dating, but I like her, which makes sense. And he's like, the subject, sub money comes up, and Danny's like, um, so and he tells Danny that he gave Karen five large, right, $5,000. And Danny is like, what? She's like so shocked. But things are looking up for Zach. Things are looking up for Zach. I hope he doesn't mess it up. I hope he doesn't mess up with Fatima. I hope she forgives him. She needs to. I mean, I don't know if there's something to forgive other than the fact that maybe he should have told her when she came to the house. Um, but it was awkward. I mean, probably if it was me, I wouldn't have said anything at that point either. I would have been trying to find a different time to tell him, which is probably what she was trying to do. But she always says, I don't want to hear about the ex. And she did say that they're not exclusive. Well, not exclusive. She never wanted to put a label on them. So they weren't really exclusive. So she really not supposed to be mad. All right. So, and he did say he did say to Danny that, he's trying to move on. And he wants Karen to move on too. But Karen don't sound like she want to move on. Karen sound like she wants that back. But that's not fair because what's gonna happen? What happens each time? She says she wants him back, and then they have sex, and then they're together for a little while, and then she take it tell him say, he not no job, or he not bringing enough money, and she's the one doing this, and she's the one doing that. And the difference with Fatima trying to lift him up, and Karen trying to push him down. So he needs to be with Fatima, right? So all right, so Karen gets to work. She's taking out her frustration on Pam, nosy Pam. That's all right, but Pam nosy as hell. So anyway, then Andy show up, right? So and again, what time Andy for reach at work? I know she's a boss and all, but I mean she got bosses. I'm sure she's supposed to be at work at 9. Anyway, Andy shows up at the salon, and and she's just like, and Karen's like, I've been calling you. And she's like, oh, I wanted to talk to you in person. And she doesn't tell them anything about what happened at her house because she earlier told, um, what's his face, Gary, that she not gonna tell them anything, which he didn't want her to tell them anything because, they're gonna have too much to say. And she learned from him, Gary, that that's best not to tell them everything. Really. Anyway, should proceed to tell um, Karen that Fatima's a good person, which we know Fatima's a good person, and of course, that she didn't know nothing. So, um, then, then she's telling her about the photo shoot that she has later, right? Because Karen says, "Let's go get a drink later," and she's like, "Well, Gary brought this photographer to our house," and Karen looked at her like, "Bitch, what? Our house? Our house? I figure your house now." She's like, "Well, my house." Anyway, she says she has to go to a photo shoot, so she can't go out for a drink. Then she gets to work, and she's like, Fatima, I need to see you now. Like, like really? Fatima done nothing wrong. But anyway, with all the attitude and everything. But anyway, I was just like, finally, Fatima is on the screen. But it was like, what, 10 minutes to go? Like, damn, she didn't get no scenes this week. Anyway, brings Fatima in the office, and Fatima's like, I didn't know. And is like, you really didn't know? She's like, one thing I don't do, I don't lie. Like, that's true, you don't lie. So then they get to talking about Karen, and oh, she's talking about Zach. Like, what do you see in Zach? Like, really, Zach is the person you want to tell me about? Is Zach in a talk about? Is film is that in a talk about? And she's like, yeah, he has potential, girl. It's like, okay, and it's like, okay, but Fatima chooses to see the potential in Zach, which he does have potential. He has proven himself. He was at that house building day and night, and working for free at the time until he got his money. So I hope he don't squander all that money because he might give some to Karen and he might give some to what's your name, to Fatima. Although Fatima give him back because anyway. So that's it. That's all that happened. What else happened? Oh, then Fatima says to tell Karen that it's over between her and Zach. Fatima's like, no. Fatima's like, do you think I should go see? I should go talk to Karen, and it's like, hell no. I don't wanna have gun. That not gonna turn out good. I was like, you both have guns. Like, no. Anyway, I was like, well, all right, tell her that me and Zach done, me and Zach over. And but the look on her face was not me and Zach over. She was like, tell her it's over between me and Zach. You're like, you love that man. She haven't admitted it to herself, but she love him. So Um, anyway, I think that was about it. Oh no. Okay, so yeah, a little bit more. So they show Zach helping this older white lady, not that old, but middle aged white lady. She forgot something on the plane, and I'm like, why they show that? There must be a reason why they show that. So I'm thinking that's probably Cowboy's mama. I think it's probably Preston's mama coming into town, and then um, Maurice calls Calvin to tell him that his account has been, frauded. So he tells Maurice. Maurice calls him and says, you know, that guy that was in your room. Yeah, they stole your card. They stole your checkbook, and they've been writing checks all over it. Emptying your account. So in order to pay your rent, you gotta come in and talk to Sabrina so that she can reverse all of these charges on your account. Like you do it, like no, you have to come in and do it. So of course now he's forced to come into the bank. I guess that will be next week. But and then they give us a little preview of next week when he comes to the bank and he gets into a fight with Jacoby. And it's like he pushes Jacoby first and I'm like, Calvin, you might not want to do that. Jacoby a thug. Jacoby go bust your ass. So but anyway, we'll see what happens next week with that. Um and what else they show that's gonna happen next week? I don't know. I guess we'll find out what happens at the photo shoot for next week and all of that good stuff. So that was it. That's it for the review. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will review episode 3 next week.